There's nothing we want to watch on TV tonight, but we're still going to watch something great with our RCA video disc player and video discs. Just flip a switch and we see Kramer versus Kramer, Close Encounters, Blue Lagoon, Comedy, Muppets, Rock, Shock, and 150 more.
The remarkable RCA video disc player. It's now more affordable than ever.
Put it this way, we're watching a great movie, and you're watching us.
Today we're going over my entire CED collection. Now these are too heavy to pick them all up, but I have about 20 films on CED. Some of them come with two discs because they're so long, and they are double-sided. But if you don't know what a CED is, it stands for Capacitance Electronic Disc, and this was a technology that was created in the mid-60s, and RCA invented this, but then they didn't launch it until 1981, and by then you had VHS and Betamax, and I think Laserdisc was rolling around then, and so you had all these other formats that were easier to adopt because these are big and heavy, and even compared to a Laserdisc, these are much heavier because of the cartridge. But what's inside here is a vinyl record. There's an actual disc here with grooves, just like a vinyl record, that plays your video and your sound. And you need a little tool to kind of pop this open because you're not supposed to access this. It actually pops open when you put it into the machine, and it works very much similar to a floppy disk. You insert this cartridge into the machine, but then the difference is it has this vinyl record that's on both sides. There's grooves in here and a stylus that plays. This piece stays into the machine, and then you eject this cartridge holder. You set it on top, you watch your film, and then you flip it around when it's time. So then again, you insert this, put it in, flip it around, insert it again, and then it plays the other side. Now it's definitely a little bit more complicated, but there is a really cool factor on this and the mechanism that makes this entire thing play. But I started collecting these years ago because of this one specifically. It was the Star Wars one. And now I've had it for years, and when I did my entire complete Star Wars video of like my entire collection, I forgot to show this one off because at the time it wasn't on display. The way I usually have these are, I have a holder that will hold about 10 of these, and then the first one is always the one that you get to see, and then I just kind of swap them out, and they sit along the floor. They're just nice displays. Now this one here is one of the more coveted ones. So especially to find in good condition, because most people do store these on the floor because they're so big. The bottom edge here is what usually gets all worn out. There is a little lip here that you're supposed to use to insert the disc and take it out, but most people just grab it however, and that's where you usually find all of your wear and tear on these discs. But as I talk about this entire collection and everything that I have in here, like the biggest reason is I don't have the CED player. I had one, it was broken, and it's not really great for me to try to get things repaired here. I don't live anywhere close to a repair shop. I'm pretty sure I'd have to go to the next state over to look for something. And it's just kind of been a frustrating thing. Now I had originally purchased many of these films because they're display pieces. There are some films that I like, and in this bigger format we have Fast Times at Ridgemont High. This is just a classic film here. But as we have stuff like that, these are very heavy, and so 20 films here, it's just difficult to kind of hold up. I can definitely stack up, 20 DVDs or VHS tapes and hold these here, but these are pretty hefty when you start getting them up. And then they had the cartoons, so this is Masters of the Universe. I had things like this, Purple Rain was also a cool one. So when the 4K came out, I have this on Blu-ray. I also have this really cool version of it with the CED. And so they work for display pieces. And this one here is why I think I went a little bit harder into collecting these and looking for CEDs specifically. These are films that are harder to find on newer formats. This one didn't ever get a Blu-ray. I don't think there was a DVD. And there's definitely no 4K. So this movie, Seniors, and now, like it or, love it or hate it, this is just a film that it's not available on wide release. I'm not even sure if you can stream it. You might be able to. I haven't really checked. But at the time when I found this, I knew that I couldn't watch this any other way. And so the thought was to try to find a working CED player, but that's been a very difficult task. And then finally, somebody had mentioned a movie that I wanted to get, and so a friend of mine was telling me about Buddy Buddy, this movie with Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon. That's a movie I want to see, but it's not streaming anywhere. Sure, I bet I can find it online somehow and get a bootleg, but the VHS tape of this is 50 bucks. I don't mind buying VHS tapes because, like I said, I'm a movie collector and not just stuck to one format. I have all kinds of formats of movies, and I don't mind. But $50 on a VHS tape of something I'm not even sure I'm going to like is kind of hard to do, especially when I find these for like 50 cents or $1, and then it may or may not work. It's one of those things that, why would I do that? So I found a CED, and now I don't have it yet. It's coming in the mail, and so I have the CED coming, but I picked that up for $8. I don't think you can go wrong, but now I'm back to the dilemma of how do I play these? So, you know, this one here, Treasure Island, this is one of the few movies I have never seen. So we got Seniors, this one, still haven't seen it. And I'm like, well, I got to get this player. So I tracked down a player that probably just needs belt replacements because CED works similar to a turntable. There's a stylus, a spinning platter, and it takes these vinyl records. Now this one here has never been opened. We're going to open it today. This is Chinatown. Very first time it's been opened. And this is a long movie. So this one here has both discs. And now I found that a couple times where they were completely sealed, and then this one isn't shrink wrapped. This is the first one, and this one is. And I think that's so that in the packaging, one, they can tell the difference so they don't accidentally put two of the same side in the disc as well, but then also so it doesn't scratch up or harm the paper in shipping or handling. And so this is something that first time it's been opened, and this one here, absolutely mint condition, how it would have looked brand new. Now the cellophane is still on here, but open this up. So this one, I've had it for quite a few years and I've never opened it because I've had no reason to, because I can't play it. But I had this movie on Blu-ray. So Chinatown is a great film, really enjoy it, but yeah, this is just, I like the artwork. I like the big format and just to be able to see this and also put it on display. So I'm glad to have these. Trying to be able to watch that one movie that eludes me, I pulled the trigger. I'm going to attempt to repair it myself. It seems like it might just need new belts and that it was taken care of because it came from an estate sale and everything there. It looked like it was the original owner and it wasn't messed with. It was pretty clean. So I'm hoping that it's a pretty easy thing to get going. If not, I'm going to continue on that journey and you can follow along. But I also have The Godfather. Now this is another one that came with 2 discs. And this one, The Misfits. Now I have seen this one and there are versions of it. There's a Blu-ray and I know that there's DVDs and I have seen this. I don't own it on any other format, but again, I like the big format and some of these older ones, especially when they were sold used. So back in the 80s, this was $20 used. And the sticker here, I'm not even going to attempt to try to take that stuff off, but it also just shows that the wear and tear on the paper there. Just people handling it instead of handling it here in the middle where it was meant to, just grabbing it here, just sticking it in the machine and pulling it out. But again, I do like that bigger format. Let's see. Another movie I have still yet to see is Apocalypse Now. And again, I have the CED, so I'm just kind of waiting to get the player to be able to watch this. And Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Now this one here is another one. I have the other one, but the second disc, it wasn't sealed. This one was. And so it just leads me to believe that they always sealed one just so they knew that they weren't going to make a mistake. Because that's how I keep finding them. Anytime I find them sealed is usually the one. Now this one is one of my favorite movies. I saw it growing up. There's definitely VHS. This was on DVD. There is a Blu-ray. I have the Blu-ray, but Yellowbeard. This is a fantastic film. I mean, I think it is. I think this is just a classic underrated comedy. I love it. I love the artwork on here. This is another one that came used and has the sticker on there, and then somebody tried to kind of remove it, and so around there is discoloring the paper. So I would like to find another version of this eventually, but it's not a big deal. I have it. I think it's really cool and just a nice piece of history. And then with all the stuff on the back, you just get this bigger format and something I absolutely love. Now here's one. I've seen this movie a million times, and it's Blues Brothers. Now this one here was 2 of 2 discs. So this one here, I actually am missing the first disc. This is how I found it, and so that's something I'd like to track down, at least the first disc, or maybe just a nicer version of it. But yeah, Blues Brothers on CED, I don't think you can go wrong, especially with that bigger format. Again, I absolutely love it. And I like the fact that they did this blue color. That's the only ones I've seen so far, is the blue color on the cartridge and these white ones. Now here's one, it's not one of my all-time favorite movies. It's a good movie. I recognize that it's a good movie, and I like it enough. But this one here, especially recently with collectors, it seems like this one's everyone's favorite film, and it's just not mine. And I don't see how it could be someone's like top #1 favorite film. I think there's so many better ones that come before that, or different. If we're talking about like monster films, or you know, anything that would fit into this category, I could see that. But like, I don't know. It's just, you know, everybody, you like what you like, but it just seems like very recently everybody loves this film and it's their #1 favorite. We're talking about Jaws. Now this is a film that, especially on CED, that it's one of the more coveted ones because there are Jaws collectors. There's huge Jaws fans, and so trying to find these, this is one of the ones that I never found an issue. This one I found very cheap and no big deal, but when I was looking online, some of the more rare ones, this is one of the ones that always comes up. And I just feel that they printed a ton of them, and maybe it's rare, or maybe it's not as rare as they claim, but it's just one of the more sought after ones. Now here's a movie that I actually had this CED before I had the film. And so this is a movie just based on the cover alone. I tracked down the Blu-ray, and it's one of my favorites. Now this was also a used price. It looks like $29.95, again back in the 80s. That translates to quite a bit of money. And so this one was How to Beat the High Cost of Living. Again, it is kind of frustrating that that sticker is there, but either way, it's just again, I think it's just a top-notch movie poster, one of my all-time favorite films, and just a great all-around comedy. Dirty Harry, this one here. Man, I love this film. Trying to get the 4K as soon as possible, but this is one that somebody wrote in the W and they kind of scribbled it out. So again, this is another one that I would easily replace and try to find a better version of it. But again, I do like the Dirty Harry series. I have them on VHS, so I have seen them, I have them, but this one here is something that I've just always liked as a collector piece, except for that very frustrating pen mark on the W. Looks like a kid got a hold of this. And then the next two come up as you know, 80s classic comedy. We have Richard Pryor, The Toy, Jackie Gleason's in this one. This is an all-time classic as well. But if you don't know, this is a movie that would never get made today. It would be considered very controversial. Jackie Gleason's a very wealthy man, and his son is spoiled and wants to buy Richard Pryor as a toy, as his own personal playmate and plaything. And it's a good, fun story, but it's definitely something that would bring a lot of questions and controversy. And so there's that, and you see them playing together on the background. But this is a movie that's been out again on pretty much every format. There's no 4K yet, but there's definitely a Blu-ray. And this one did just get a 4K, and this is the one that was kind of surprised, everyone was surprised by. Now this is one that, again, it has like a little bit of damage on it, so I'd like to replace it eventually, and we're talking about Mel Brooks' Blazing Saddles. I think that just, again, the big giant artwork on here is top notch, and again, you have the back on that. I think is just really, really sharp. Now here's a movie I've never seen. It comes up sometimes on Thanksgiving lists, and we're talking about The Big Chill. So this is one that, again, I've never seen it, but watching the trailer, I don't see how, like, it's a good Thanksgiving film. Like, I still have to finish watching it, or actually watch it for the first time to really understand it. Maybe I'm just missing something, but from the trailer, it seems kind of boring. But it comes up a lot. A lot of people really get into this one, and there is a Criterion version of this. So if you like it, let me know in the comments down below. But from the trailer, it just doesn't feel like a me movie at all. And I don't know if it's an actual Thanksgiving movie or if it's one of those ones that has that vibe because of all these people coming together and spending time together. Maybe they're family, maybe they're not. But with that feel, I know a lot of movies get recommended as Thanksgiving movies, so I'm not sure if that's the case. Let me know in the comments down below. Now here's one that I've seen this movie since I was a kid, like a real little kid, and I've been watching it ever since. And this is a movie that I have on other formats. I don't have the 4K of this, but there is a 4K. So this one here is American Werewolf in London. Again, I love the big format on here, and the werewolf transformation is probably still one of my all-time favorites, and it shows that right on the back. That's super awesome. And yeah, this is, again, just the big format in the movies. These make great display pieces, even if you're not going to be able to watch these or enjoy these, because you're not going to want to hook this CED player up to a modern 4K television. You are going to want to have an older CRT to really enjoy these. And then the next one's here. This is another one. I have it on Blu-ray, and I've seen it a bunch of times, and we're talking about Cujo. So it's a classic film. If you haven't seen it, you have the killer dog that's trying to get everybody. And as an adult, like it's I don't watch it as much, but this was on all the time when I was a kid, and I would catch it every single time. And here's another one. Now I have seen it, but I just haven't seen it probably since I was a kid, like maybe like 10, 11, 12, in that range was the last time I saw it. But I have the film, so I haven't had a need to go out and grab the Blu-ray or try to get this this version of the movie, but I haven't seen it in a long time, so I'm hoping to get the CED player sooner than later. I'm talking about The Omen. Now again, I remember liking it when I was a kid, but it's been probably over 30 years since I've seen this one. Classic film. I have it on VHS. I don't think I have it on Blu-ray. I have to double check, but I have it on VHS, and it gets watched in this room at least once a year, especially if I'm working. If I'm working here at the desk and I'm doing some editing, I pop in that tape and I get to watch it because it's a great background movie. I'm talking about Stripes. Now this is another one that it probably had a giant sticker on top here, and so I'd like to find a better copy of it. And this is another one that all the edges are really just kind of destroyed. Probably because it's such a great film. It probably got played a ton, but again, this is something that I absolutely love it. But then somebody wrote on the back, side 1, 57 minutes, side 2, 45 minutes, for a total of 102 minutes. I know that newer formats include that sometimes, but at the same time, like, they wrote on the back and they included it right there on the shirt. And for me, that's very frustrating. But again, I would love to find a better version of this, and it's a great film.
Razzle dazzle! 1, 2, 3, 4! 1, 2, 3, 4! Round, 5, jump over the lazy dog!
Next, we have one of my all-time favorites, and it is a movie that I've been holding off on. Now, I love this movie. I've seen it a million times, but I'm hoping that we get like a nice 4K soon, or even a Blu-ray would be great, because this movie never came to Blu-ray. And I'm talking about Neil Simon's Seems Like Old Times. I think this is a great classic film. Again, I love the artwork on here. It's just, again, top-notch. But then you have the back, Chevy Chase, you have Goldie Hawn. You can't go wrong with this one. You have Charles Grodin in this one. And this is just, again, I think it's just a top-notch film. And this is one of my all-time favorites. This is Used Cars with Kurt Russell, and I don't think you can go wrong. I have the Blu-ray of this, but again, I love the artwork. I think it's top-notch. Now, this artwork has pretty much been on every single format that I have seen, or something similar to it. And yeah, this is a great film. Used cars. The car lot's brother, he's selling used cars. They're kind of crappy. They're just putting like basically bubble gum on the bumpers to get the cars out the door and make them just sellable, but they're not great. And then his brother has a really nice car dealership right across the street, and then there's a little bit of a rivalry, and I just think this is just a classic film. Top notch.
Happy motoring, Stan!
Trust me.
Trust me.
trust me?
And then we have Porky's. Porky's is just a classic raunchy comedy, and to find these raunchy comedies on the older formats is always a joy. Absolutely love this one. I don't think you can go wrong with Porky's at all, but this is another one that it's been on every format. I'm not sure if there's a 4K, but there's definitely Blu-rays, and so I do like this. Now, I think there was 3 films, but I've only ever seen the first 2. There's some other ones that are extremely hard to find, some things that I would love to add to the collection, and I don't know everything that's out there, but the one that I'm really trying to grab right now is Back to the Future. I'm pretty sure that one came out and it was right at the tail end of the production of these discs, and so I think that only the first Back to the Future is on CED, and last time I saw that one it was about $100, and so it's like, maybe eventually one day. Let me know in the comments down below if you even knew about CED or if it's something you're going to start collecting now. With that, merch link is always down below. Remember to watch a movie today, and I'll catch you guys next time.